Had several questions come in this week. One in regards to canning and the storage of the canned goods, Holly. I heard you say that you should remove the rings. Why? Then was that to protect the bottom of the bottle of the air, protect the jar from getting air in it, or when I can the beets? Why should you remove the rings and when?
Sure. So the lid is actually creating the seal. So you put the lid on.
That's the flat portion.
That's the flat portion.
Okay.
You put the ring on, and then that's how the canning happens. If your jars are properly sealed, removing the ring would have no effect on the air getting in. You want to remove the ring for the best safe storage. So as we know, we're putting basically pressurized food into a jar, or it's not pressurized food, but
vacuumed.
It's vacuum sealed.
In a shelf stable.
Shelf stable, yep. So if something funky happens in that jar, say that if you're doing like tomatoes or something, the acid causes a reaction, that jar could burst open if you had the ring on, or it could cause the lid to pop off. And I would rather have a lid pop off versus a jar burst open in my storage.
Or the jar reseals itself with that.
And then you have something funky.
Right.
And yeah. So, and then you're on the wrong side of the dirt. So that is something that you definitely want to consider when you store your jars, is to take the rings off. We had it happen. We found, was it salsa? No, pasta sauce.
Pasta sauce, and then also some tomato juice. Both
right, where we went to go pick it up or whatever, and the lid was loose.
Yeah.
So we saved ourselves essentially.
Speaking of lemon juice versus an acid, lemon juice versus lime juice. In the recipe for canning whole tomatoes, it recommends lemon juice, bottled lemon juice. I do not have any. Is it okay to use lime juice as a substitute?
No. So you want to use bottled lemon juice because the acidity of that bottled lemon juice is going to be consistent throughout. Lime juice is great for a lot of things, but not for canning.
Well, as we've talked about, and you've stressed this very heavily on the program, do not substitute one item for another when it comes to a canning procedure, because that will disrupt the scientific, the science behind the whole deal.
Right.
So that's that. On that deal. So yeah, follow the recipe and do as the recipe states whenever you're going to do any type of canning. Next question. I grew Jerusalem artichokes for the first time this year. 1, how do I know when it's time to harvest them, and what suggestions do you have for storage and uses for them? Well, Jerusalem artichokes is a perennial that will come back year after year. They can be invasive, so you kind of want to be careful where you put them at in your yard. They are less starchy than a potato, have an earthy taste to them, and there's many different things you can do with a Jerusalem artichoke. They're not that prevalent in the grocery stores because of their very, very short shelf life. Now, you'll know when to harvest them because they need about 150 days of full sun. The top growth will die back, typically with the first frost. Then you can go ahead and dig them up and use them basically whatever way you have used a potato. Now, the best way to store these is to keep them in the ground. If you dig them up and set them on your counter for a day, they will shrivel up faster than you know what to do. So you can put them in an airtight bag and put it in the crisper of your fridge. You will get some longevity out of them that way. That only lasts about 2 weeks. So you can store them in a cool garage, a shed, the steps to an attic, in dirt. So you dig them out of the ground of your garden, put a layer of dirt in a 5-gallon bucket, about 1 inch, put a layer of the Jerusalem artichokes, put another layer of soil until they cover the previous layer of Jerusalem artichokes, and progressively work your way up till the bucket is full. Then you can dig out the ones you need as you need them in your garage, in your shed, in the stairs, or in the attic where it's unclimatized and they can get very cold but not freeze. You can use these you can make them into hash browns. You can eat them raw. You can also put them in a slow cooker, and they melt just like butter whenever you eat them. They're very, very tasty. A typical plant will produce between 3 and 5 pounds on average. They will grow in poor soil to moderate soil to rich soil, so they're very versatile. the plants themselves can get up to 15 feet tall. Ours in our garden typically get about 8 to 10 feet tall, and they come back year after year. And they can be as large as your hand as one root system, one tuber essentially, or they can be as small as marbles. So it's based on the conditions, and we grow a white variety. There's a magenta or a burgundy color variety of Jerusalem artichokes as well. So Jerusalem artichokes, if you've not grown them, get them in the spring, plant them, and then you can also do in containers, raised beds, or traditional ground. They're a very unique crop that's very beneficial for you and tasty.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.